Thank you to our patrons for helping make this podcast possible.
Welcome back to Void FM with your boys Rav and what's your name?
Bill.
Bill. We got Rav and Bill. Welcome back to Void FM. Bill, what's going on?
First, before I say anything, Rav and Bill back to kill. Think about that. Marinate on that.
We already said that before.
Did we say that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we've done that in an episode before.
Oh. I feel like that happens to me a lot where it'll be like some shit that we did either a long time ago or 2 weeks ago and I just don't remember, you know.
What happens is I always come up with stuff and then like you repeat it, you know? And then I'm like, oh, I remember when I did that, Bill. I remember that.
I just
joke.
say it louder than you. Everyone's like, yeah, Bill, you did it. yeah. I'm
been good,
well,
man?
though. I mean, I've been doing
What you been up to?
Lots of stuff. Mostly just going to the pool and just album rollout stuff, you know? Enjoying being outdoors and soaking up the summer for once in my life, you know? How about
Hell
you?
yeah.
What's been bracking in the world of Rav?
Mostly just rollout stuff and moving stuff. So not much in the way of chilling, but it's the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer and closer.
Hell yeah.
I'm like in the process. I've applied for an apartment and I need to give the movers an address. And I guess I'm going to have to get, but I don't know how long it's going to take me to get approved for my application. So after this episode, I'm probably going to go and book myself a storage unit instead. I was looking at one, and the only problem with that is just the additional expense, you know, kind of blows.
For sure.
But it is what it is. It takes a while these days to get approved, you know. It's not good enough that you are employed and that you have enough money and that you have no criminal record or anything like that. You know, you need a million other things before you can be allowed to live anywhere. Yeah, which is crazy because in moments like this, it makes me think, how the fuck are you supposed to ever become not homeless once you've become homeless?
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Because, like, that's the thing, man. It's like, it's so much, like, I mean, I have so many problems with the credit score system here already, just inherently, because, like, it really is kind of, like, designed to exploit poor people. And that's a whole thing that I feel like we could have a whole episode on. But like, I think that beyond just that, it's like you have to jump through so many hoops. And a lot of times, especially in like I lucked up here because it was a newer apartment complex, and it took me like 2 weeks or something total to get approved, and I got a move-in date and all that stuff. But like, even then, that's like 2 weeks. So sorry, it's been shitty.
No, it's fine. This is the problem is the movers need to come this week on Friday, and I'm already not giving them enough in advance by like approving it now, if I approve it now. And it's pretty expensive too, a couple grand, right? But I can't really approve it until I've given them the address. So I guess that's why I'm going to have to secure the unit and give them that address instead and continue applying and hopefully fly to the US this weekend. Yeah, I'm also almost done exchanging the contracts and everything. I just need to make sure all that paperwork is taken care of. It's been such a nightmare chasing people down for paperwork.
sucks.
There's so much, yeah, there's so much paperwork with everything, and so many middlemen and so much just bureaucracy, you know, every which way. So I look forward to not having to print shit out and sign shit. And I look forward to a summer as well. Because the rollout stuff has been fun. I'm not going to complain. It is a lot of work. It can be tedious and hard. But it is still fulfilling. Whereas this is fulfilling in the sense I know I'm doing something for me and it will be good for me. But I'm just kind of sick and tired of being in this transition stage that has felt like it's lasted a lifetime, you know? So
Well, I mean,
I'm ready to just move on.
To be fair though, like it kind of has for you. It feels like it feels like literally since the Out of the Woods tour, it's been like you've been in a limbo of like, okay, like you haven't had like home base. You know what I mean? I mean, like sure, like you're back in your place now in London, but it's like you didn't want to be there in the first place.
No, I didn't. And now that it's sold, things should be easier. But the problem, like when I was trying to live in LA and all the places I've applied, like whether I applied 2 years ago or last year, you remember me and Frank were applying to a bunch of places? It's just impossible. It's
awful in LA. LA's like hard mode of that though. It's like
it is hard mode. That's true.
It's already hard mode, but it's like you're playing a fucking Toho like a bullet hell game or some shit. Like that's what it feels like in LA because it's like fucking and there's so many people. It's overpopulated in most areas. And because of that, landlords don't give a shit in the same way that they do if they are actually just trying to make money. They know they're going to make their money whether you show up or not. Somebody else will, you know.
Well, that's the thing. It's not that LA is overpopulated. I would say LA is very popular for a lot of like rich people jobs, right? So like so it's always guaranteed that there will be jobs for as long as like Hollywood and the porn industry, Silicon Valley, etc. Are around there. There's going to be jobs, and so it's a competitive market in the sense that like they can look at your application and be like, if they feel like I don't know, there's no reason for them to just not skip you if there's a little I don't know. They need someone if they can see someone says, oh, okay, this is Warner Brothers is paying for this person's visa or they're covered their rent, covered this, that. There's a bunch of other Warner employees in this area. It's like it's weird to me. LA feels almost like one of those, you know, company towns that weirdos and freaks like Walt Disney have tried to do and Elon Musk is trying to do. It feels like that, but disguised as if it's a normal city. When in reality, like there's whole blocks of like, oh, this is just where the Nickelodeon staff lives. This is where the Cartoon Network staff lives. This is where the Warner Brothers staff lives. And so even though like my credit score is great, especially at the time it was fucking perfect. Now I don't have one because I've closed my credit card. I don't want a credit card anymore, so I don't have a credit score.
Oh no, you should still have a credit score.
Oh, okay.
Like,
okay,
I don't think that.
But that's
away.
the thing. But it is different in the UK than it is in the US. There's like a whole like conversion process, you know, and it doesn't quite apply. And so for them, it was like, well, you're self-employed. Even though we can see how much you earn and you've consistently earned for a certain amount of time or for years, right, or whatever, we'd still rather not take that risk. As if it's like any more of a risk than working for a company that could go under. You know what I'm saying?
I understand from the perspective of like they look. I don't understand why. Okay, I really don't understand like how having like a self-employed or owning a small business is any more of a risk than like, hey, I work at a restaurant and I could get fired at any minute. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, you run the risk of any. I mean, to be fair, like I think that like. For me, this has been the most stable job I've ever had, which is kind of sad, actually.
But think about COVID. Look how many people we personally know lost their jobs during COVID, right? We got lucky. I know that my previous job, if I stayed in it, I would have been fucked because that company went under 2 years into COVID.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that was stable? You know, that was way more stable than what I have. Like that's what I'm saying. Stability is like it's sort of an illusion. I get that there needs to be a level of stability, but isn't that what the last 3 months of your earnings supposed to be for, right? If you're gonna need some sort of proof, then shouldn't that be the thing? Now there's like this whole fucking thing, and then what if you become homeless, and what if you commit a crime because you're homeless and you're desperate, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's on your record, and then you're trying to clean your life up. How the fuck are you supposed to get a home? How are you supposed to be able to apply for a home? How are you supposed to be able to apply for a job if you don't have access in LA to fucking public bathrooms? You can't even wash your hands. You have to shit and piss outside. You have no clean water to wash your hands with or shower with. How are you supposed to apply for a job? How are you supposed to know how to apply? And then when you do, how... You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things. Also, to apply for jobs, you oftentimes need an address, and you need this, that, and the third. They won't even take your application. It's kind of like a catch-22. But yeah, so anyway, sorry about ranting about that, but it is something that I always think about. It's like, damn, I make good money, you know, in terms of just like the average person. I make more than the average person, right? I'm not a millionaire, but I'm doing good for myself. And the fact that someone like me has difficulty, so much difficulty. And in part it's because I am an immigrant, even though I am legal and I'm allowed to work and I have like a special working visa for it, right? And everything. It's still so complicated. I can't imagine what it's like for people, you know, who make a tenth of what I make, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the one thing too, though, is it is like obviously what you're saying, you're spitting facts, but it also, in my experience with this kind of stuff, it kind of like varies depending on where you're at and like what complex. So like it might be annoying, but honestly, like if you can get to the point where you can like get somebody on the fucking phone and just be like, hey, like I'm having trouble with this, what do I do? Type thing. Sometimes that's helpful.
I have a guy who's been texting me back and forth. Like, he went upstairs. He's like, yo, here's the apartment. He showed it to me. And he's like, do you want to see one upstairs? I can shoot you a video and send you one similar one upstairs. And I was like, yes, please. So it was back and forth. So I hope that helps. Where if I get stuck at some point, I'm going to hit him up. I'm going to be like, bro, look.
Yeah.
Is there anything we could do to expedite this, brother? Like, I am...
ready to go. Yeah.
I'm itching.
Yeah, well, like if you just say that to them, they want you there. Because like, I don't know, like some of that shit does, I think they do get commission for shit like that. Yeah. They have to, right? Because like, why would they be like, the people in my apartment complex were so like, please. You know what I mean? They were like, if you need any help, call us. Da-da-da. Like they're like either they're just getting paid really well and are just nice people, or they get something out of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope something comes out of it, because I want to move in next Friday, you know, I told them, but I want to leave the UK this week, be in the States next week, hang out with you briefly, maybe work on some stuff, and then take a road trip up to Minneapolis, where I will hopefully be able to just, you know, plant my feet, renew my prescription in the US, you know, for stuff. And yeah. Oh, and also, dude, since I last lived in Minneapolis, they've legalized weed and opened up dispensaries. Hell yeah,
brother.
Oh my God. I'm going to toke it.
This is you right now. Two joints. Two king palms. You hold them like this.
Yeah. That's right. I actually stack them. Yeah.
Yeah, you just like unhinge your jaw like a snake.
So yeah, that's been cool. It's just like, you know, the logistics of moving everything and making sure this house is ready for the new people that are moving in. And like, I had to find out what's going on with like this card and that card. And I got a US phone number today. I got a Google US phone number or something like that, just because I needed one. And I like that number. So I'm like, should that just be my number now? Because it's a nice number, you know? And if it like gets leaked, I could. The only thing that sucks is I hate getting a new phone number. I never message everyone. I don't know how to message everyone. Is there like a function on iPhone or something where like inform everyone of your new phone number? There's gotta be, right?
I mean, it feels like that's the shit that they should be working on, right?
That seems like a button that would be so fucking useful. You know,
well, it's like
you press that and it sends everyone a text.
it just makes the most sense of like anything to do, right? Because it's like I've had the same number for so long, but like I've had friends who for whatever reason they change numbers a lot. And so like I'll have somebody and then I'll have like, let's say it's like Mitch, right? And it'll be like Mitch 1, Mitch 2, Mitch 3, Mitch 4. And instead of deleting it, I just like put it in there like, oh, I'll change it later, and I never do.
Yeah. Aside from that, it's not. I have been, as we've been working on the rollout stuff, I've been plotting some stuff, thinking about ideas. I think I showed you. I got myself like a handy cam. Did I show it to you?
No, you mentioned mentioned it. Like I think I was there when you were ordering it or something.
Yeah. It's just this.
Oh shit! I used to have one almost exactly like that. It might be the same one. Is it what is it? Is it digital or does it have the little?
It's
tapes?
digital.
Oh, cool.
This one's digital and it's really good quality. And I've already made some attachments and like I'm building a rig around it.
Hell yeah!
But also
dude.
I also have this setup where I put a fisheye lens on it, and that's pretty much it. It's gonna be like my go-to for certain things that I wanted to do.
Hell yeah, that's just gonna be sick.
It's what's great with these screens is that like if I don't like this is how normal people shoot, but technically you could just shoot like this for shorts because it will automatically be like the appropriate
interesting
aspect ratio. Yeah,
that's
you know
so
what
sick.
I'm saying? Because you're just shooting, you just need to flip it in the program. Anyway, so I'm doing that because I wanted us to have more of a like. And there's some other things I have. I'll show you next time, you see me. It's just like I've been thinking of ways to be able to film us a lot, and document certain things with as little trouble as possible. It's like so that there's not like, oh, I have to unclip this, clip that, move this, remove this. Just grab, hit record. Then hit stop and put it down. That's it. I want to have enough stuff like that so that if we go on tour, when next time we do one of our trips to record an album, etc. Something like this, I think could be handy. No pun intended.
For sure. Those are cool too. Like I like the way they look, like the footage. Like
very skateboarder stuff.
It's got a very cool vibe to it, especially with that fisheye lens. It's gonna be beautiful.
Oh, dude, it looks so fucking good. Also, it has like the night mode stuff, the old school the green night mode thing. Yeah, where it shoots like a thing out of the camera that you can't see with a human eye, but the green filter
infrared moment.
Yeah.
I feel like I had because like my mom bought me a camera when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and it was like that one, but it had like these little tapes that were like yay big.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, like, I think it was a Sony, but it had like the night vision. It had I wish I still had it. That shit was really cool.
There's a ton. They made so many different ones that look very similar to this, They had many different editions.
Yeah.
I snagged a secondhand one off of like, one of those like Depop apps.
Yeah, dude. I would love to have something like that cuz like I got this, A6400 and I wanted to just stream and do shit like this with it, but then like I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like use, and then I feel like I have it set up here to stream all the time, and I'm like, okay, cool, I don't want to move it. It's kind of like a hassle to move.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. I feel you on that. That's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah.
I also want to see if I can use this as a webcam. I have everything for. I think I should have all the cables and everything to test that out. It'd be fun to use this as a webcam.
That would be sick. That'd be really cool. Yeah, you could do some really cool shit on stream with that.
Also, again, me and portability, right? I just love being on the road and being able to pull something out of my pocket and
pull it out of your ass.
Out of my ass. I am gadget boy, so this is what I do. Yeah. Gadget boy, gadgets around. I don't know, man. I just been working, man. Been working. Really enjoying. Shit. I don't know. I've been enjoying the process of the album being out and everything. It still kind of feels a bit surreal sometimes, because there are moments where you have like a whole lot of oh shit, shit is happening, oh my god, and then there are moments of like quiet, and And I think that's what I'm just like struggling to process sometimes.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. There's this thing with putting out an album that I don't think people understand. It's like when you put out a record and it's well received, like I don't know, maybe this is like kind of unique to us because of like where we're at in music or whatever. But like for me, it's like weird because like you'll put out a record and then people will be like, holy shit, oh my God, for like 3 days. And you'll be like, oh my God, like this is sick. And then like it'll kind of die off. And then like something will happen that will make people remember it's a thing, whether it's like you tweet about it or you release visuals or whatever the thing is. And then it'll like come back in like wave two where people are like, oh my God. And then you're like, hell yeah, dude, this is sick. And then that lasts like 2 days and you're like, okay. And then like randomly you'll see it again. Like it's just like, and then like with us, I think like seeing people get the CDs and stuff like that, that's been
For
like
sure.
more. Yeah.
Also because the music is so different to what we've made and what we will make in the future, that I think a lot of people, no disrespect to these fans, but are very much just like the average music fan where they're waiting for other people's opinions on it before they have their own, because they're like, I don't know, am I supposed to like this album? Is it a good album or is it a bad album? And so, you know, the most outspoken people up front are people who are just like either confident about their take on the album or they really fucking dislike either one of us, you know?
Yeah.
These people are going to be far more outspoken up front. But what's been interesting is like a lot of fans have been telling me, because I've asked them to show this one to their friends. I've been telling people like, yo, if you're going to show them Rav, and you want to show like get them into it or whatever, start with this album. Then maybe show them I'm On To Me or something like that, if you're going to ease them in. And the response I've gotten about that is that like, oh shit, my friend who likes music or is like a music hipster and stuff, immediately clicked with it, you know? Like, oh, he immediately liked it. Or I showed this to this friend and she loves it. So I think it's something you said to me the other day that really clicked with me, where you said this is a bubble breaking album, right? We are, of course, the first front of people who are going to hear our album are the people within that bubble, you know? And so the second wave of people who kind of break outside of any expectations of who Bill and Rav are, that's something I've been anticipating and looking forward to. But also the problem with it, what makes me anxious is like we can't really fully control it. We can keep doing the rollout. We're marathoning it, not running a sprint, all that. But ultimately there are certain things we can't just, you know, do. There's certain things we can only hope for, you know, like I don't know what to do to get reviewed by a Pitchfork. I don't know what to do to get written by certain publications or get recognized by Complex or Rolling Stones, right? Like, how do we break into that mainstream? How do we break into that?
It's weird to me because like I had like an idea based off of not putting out music or putting out music and not getting an audience for a long time, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. So if you have an audience, then people will like, someone will be like, oh shit, this is an audience here. And like, it'd be cool to talk about this thing in a platform because there's clearly like something going on. And I could be the guy who like puts that out and is like, oh, well, I found out about these guys before, you know, like I was like the guy who like broke them or whatever, you know what I mean? Like to a bigger audience. And it's weird to me because it's like, I'm not trying to like flex, but I'm a flex. Okay. Every time until recently, because we don't use Bandcamp for putting out stuff. Every time we've released an album, it has hit #1 on Bandcamp.
With exception of I'm On To Me, because it was dropped the same evening as Phoebe Bridges.
Oh yeah, it's rough. That's a tough one.
So she outperformed me, but yes, otherwise
that's a
#1. Yes,
really good album too.
It is. Yes. Fantastic album.
Yeah. Shout out Phoebe Bridgers, but like completely independent, no deal, no like corporate backing, nothing. Like up until a certain point, like me sending CDs from my fucking house. You know what I mean? and it'll be like I'm not saying like, oh my god, dude, we're the best of all time and everyone should be sucking our dicks or something, but there is kind of like a thing of like Bandcamp never covered us like a single time, like, and I'm just kind of like,
you and I have charted on Billboard more than some of our heroes have, and higher.
That's the thing that's weird to me. That's the thing that's so fucking weird, bro. It's like, to me, it's like I was kind of like expecting like numbers to equate to. And it's not like our numbers are like crazy, but it's just like sometimes I'll see people who are like that I've like grown up listening to, and like I'll be like, oh damn, like more people listen to me monthly than they do, than anyone than listen to them. And I'm like, oh shit, like this like unattainable thing in my head is like I've already got it. It's real. It's there, you know? But there's never been like a thing where it's like Bandcamp never covered us. We never got like a real, I mean, you got like Fantano like way back in the day, a text review, you know what I mean? But it's like,
but that was like a dozen years ago. And then this is before he really got super serious, I feel like. And I was reviewed by, or written about by like the Fact Mag and Clash, right? And stuff like that. And we also had that Leafly interview.
That was cool.
And was it you or someone else was telling me we were the first rappers ever? The same month as Run the Jewels, we were the first ever rappers to be interviewed by Leafly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Crazy.
You know, but outside of that, we've never had legacy media really report on us, you know? Like Rolling Stone, Complex, Pitchfork. If any of these people had noticed us, or even if Fantano notices you and reviews you, then, you know, like all these other publications oftentimes will follow suit, you know? That's how people that's how a lot of people, I feel like, were put on in the first place. And sometimes I wonder, like, what is it that we're missing? You know, what is it? And is it something that we can do? Or is it like one of those things that's just like, hey man, you just keep rolling the dice, you know, you just keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And maybe eventually you'll stumble upon like someone who'll hear you, who is a writer for one of these publications, or is friends with someone who writes for this publication and really believes in this album so much that they try to get it heard by that person. You know, like there's so much that's out of our hands, I guess is what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah, it's weird because like there's a part of me that feels like if you try too hard to be taken seriously by these types of people, then it almost feels like you're faking the funk. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you're like clearly like just, it's like kind of like clout chasing in a different way. Even if you're trying to do something that's like, okay, Danny Brown talked about this once when he made Triple X, when he made 30, right? He was like, oh, I'm trying to make an album that someone like an Anthony Fantano would like a well-received, critically acclaimed underground rap album, is what he said. And that like, I thought that was interesting because it like really changed, like that was almost like a brand shift from stuff he was doing before.
Like Hybrid Theory and shit.
Yeah, like Hybrid Theory or even like Black and Brown, you know what I mean?
Or the shit with Tony Yayo and Lil B.
Yeah. Like it felt like he was like really, it felt really like he was trying to hit a pop, and that's a classic record. That's one of my favorite rap albums ever, mixtapes, whatever it is, right?
Agreed.
Like, but I get what he was trying to do with it. And it's interesting to me because I feel like not to say that like anytime I've tried to do stuff like that, but it feels like there's a certain thing that like people want out of me sometimes. And like when I don't do it, it's almost like, oh, okay, that's cute, blah, blah, blah. But then like, for example, like Scales is like one of my favorite songs I've ever written. I think it's like, I wouldn't change anything about that song, right? It means a lot to me personally. And I also think that it's like a lot of people don't expect me to like rap over a beat that sounds like that. And and so like maybe they'll like skip it or like not take it as seriously because it's like not like what they wanted out of me. And I feel like there's a part of me that's like, because I like people enjoying my stuff, that I'll like want to capitulate sometimes and just kind of like do the same thing that they expect. Like, oh, you just want jazz rap? Okay, I'll give you jazz rap.
You want people to like you, especially when they're giving you money.
That's the thing that fucks with me. It's I think the part that fucks with me is like, okay, like all my life I was like, oh, okay, yeah, dude, if I'm ever put in a position where I have to like change my art or whatever the thing is, like to get money, then like I've like sold out. Like that's like how I've always looked at it, and I'm like, I would never do that. And like, not to say that I've liked everything I've made, you know what I mean, in some kind of way, like, but like now it's like I would not, like me at 20 when I'm like I have no real responsibilities and I'm like, hell yeah. Now I'm like 33 and I'm like, oh yeah, like I have to like pay my bills with this, you know. There's like a different way of looking at it, and there is like a part of me too that feels like almost like resentful of it, because it's like the one thing that I love doing. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I have to do it and also like deal with the fact that people like the thing that I do just for fun, like that I would do just like normally. I'm thinking about how it will be received. I know it doesn't really matter at the end of the day and I should just trust myself. But sometimes there is like a little bit of a like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Almost too much self-awareness.
I feel like I was thinking about it the other day, and like I kind of want to like just like get back to like making stuff and not really caring, and then like just shelving stuff that I know wouldn't go over, but like just making it just to make stuff, if that makes any sense.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And then like I know that like I could put out like a mixtape or something and just like if I wanted to, just for free or whatever, and like people could enjoy that if they wanted to hear it, but then like kind of keep like a bit of a like just a mind of like what I'm gonna do. I don't know how to describe it, but
I'll always do what I want to do. It's just I will always have trouble with, I know that time and time again I will have to wrestle with these same thoughts over and over again. They're probably gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it. They're not gonna like it. This doesn't sound like the last thing. But then ultimately it's like, well, this is my expression. And a lot of them told me like, hey, Rav, dude, we want you to just express yourself. Some people will complain once that changes, right? But I'm just going to trust there will be people who will consistently stick around for my journey. And I have to believe in that, you know? I have to believe in that and just operate based off of what it is that I want to artistically do and hope that I can do this as long as I can. But yeah, it's hard not to be somewhat aware of it, right? And or at least somewhat aware of like, you know, working on an album and then just being like, and not think, it's hard to not be like, I wonder what so-and-so would think about this.
Yeah.
I wonder if my friend from childhood would hear this, what they would think, you know? I wonder if my teachers would fuck with this. And naturally you start thinking about like, what if my favorite writer at Pitchfork heard this, you know? What if so-and-so heard this? What if Fantano heard this one? And that's what actually kind of not bothers me, but like, I hope this doesn't come across as like entitled, because I'm not anticipating this. I'm just saying like, I wish it happened. But it's like, if I feel like Fantano and I have a lot of overlapping tastes. There's a lot of things I disagree with him on, for sure, right? Of course. But there's a lot of things where I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'm into this too. He loved this album? That's funny. I loved it too. You know, it's like, okay, he gets it. He gets this album. When I hear him talk about something that he loves, I'm like, yo, he gets it, you know? And usually when I've made music, I've understood that like, oh, this is probably not going to be Fantano's cup of tea, you know? Not even like this is a bad album, but just like you kind of know like to not recommend certain homies certain music. And he felt like the kind of guy that I don't think would really like the more slower, more chill, melancholic stuff, you know? I just don't think that's been his cup of tea. And then this album was my first time when we were working on it. There was a part of me that like felt like, you know what? I feel like Fantano would fuck with this. Like I feel like Fantano would not give this less than a 6 out of 10, which is an important thing to do, because I don't think Fantano will ever review someone who's relatively unknown in the mainstream, right? If he's going to give them a poor score. So I've noticed Fantano doesn't want, I think, and that maybe it's just my observation, maybe it's deliberate. I would hope it's deliberate, you know, because if you're absolutely new, Fantano probably doesn't want to like have a profoundly negative impact on your career or something by giving you your early work poor scores or getting you somehow blackballed or whatever it may be. You know, we hear the horror stories about some of the artists that got zero on Pitchfork and how their lives spiraled afterwards, you know? So for me, I was like, this one would be at least a 6 out of 10, given like the kind of stuff he enjoys, I think, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a part of me that's like, man, I just wish he heard it. Like, not even review. I just want him to hear it. I feel like I sometimes just want people to... It's like this thing that we've made, and I just want like the more people to see it. I want more people to hear it. It's not like I want this thing to be popular or nothing. I just want it to hit the audience. I just don't know who the audience is for all of this stuff, but I know it's out there. And if they heard this, they would fuck with it. I just don't know how to hit them. And most people, even a lot of indie artists, will have a manager. They will have a PR person, someone who will do this for them, who will have contacts and do all these things. This is the one area I find that we struggle to sort of handle ourselves as independent artists. We do the best we can, but we don't have at the moment like inside connections. We don't have, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't have an in quite yet.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like a lot of that just comes from like a natural like, oh, like a lot of it comes from like, oh, like you had a song with so and so and like that kind of solidified you. Like, for example, like if I had a song with Danny Brown, I think that there's like a certain type of person that would like look at me differently because I'm working with Danny Brown. Like
right, yeah.
And I'm not saying like everything's a cosign, but a lot of it is, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like you'll make something that's just like really like just makes waves in the underground or whatever, and then people will be like, oh shit, like this is the new shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it too is like association. Like people like patterns. People like, oh, like there's so many people that I fucked with because like they had a song with Open Mike Eagle, or they had a song with Aesop Rock, or you know, they got a song with like.
That's how you heard of me. You heard me through that Open Mike Eagle.
Yeah. I said, hey, I like the cut of this guy's jib. After that,
I think I have a song with Ant with Open Mike Eagle with Heems, and I feel like if Ant and I finish our project, and we put that out, maybe that's like one way of us to get in. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if Ant puts out a project with me, that'll get reviewed by Pitchfork.
Well, yeah, because like there's two reasons for that. There's one because it's gonna be dope. Because I think that like you're like super capable as an MC, but also like that crossover feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you and Ant, like, I mean, like I've heard joints that you've like written to Ant stuff and, like Ass Backwards.
Some of the demos
like
I played. Yeah.
Yeah. All those demos and shit. And they're like super sick. And a lot of like old head rap people would really fuck with that.
Yeah.
Just the fact that you'd have like a collab with Rhyme Sayers would automatically be good. But just also like, I had a thought because Ant came out to the Minneapolis show for Out of the Woods, and I remember feeling like because I met him, we went and hung out, and sat down with him and talked with him a little bit, and I don't remember if I nerded out or not. I remember trying to play it cool and be like, yeah, man, fuck with your shit kind of thing, but like the whole time I was just like hearing that Brother Ali album playing on loop in my head, that shit that I heard when I was like 16, I was like, oh, like, you're like one of my goats. And you're just sitting in front of me. And like, he said like such nice shit about us. And I was just
all
like,
I could hear was the Tony Hawk Underground soundtrack in my head.
Yeah. And I'm just like sitting here like, bro, like this is like the dude, you know what I mean? Like he's been through so much shit, done so much cool shit, produced so many great songs. Like, toured all over the world, done all basically like he is who I would want to be growing up. You know what I mean? And I don't know, for a long time I was like, can't nobody tell me shit because Ant said my shit was good. You know what I mean? Like I was, yeah. And I think that's the thing I have to like remember is that like especially like after putting out Keep the Change, there were so many like artists and producers who like hit us up and were like, yo, this was really cool, or like this inspired me to do this or whatever.
Yeah, dude, producers reaching out and saying they were inspired by the album, the production on the album really gave me a nice morale boost. For sure. Sorry.
For sure. Like, I mean, like It was really, and also just like making the beats on the album were so much fun. Like this is the most fun like I've ever, because this is like a lot of this stuff is like, and I know like a lot of this stuff feels to me like it's like there's stuff that I've never like really rapped on, but a lot of this stuff is like I love making that kind of like almost like ASMR core, like really like let's sample some weird shit and like do some like maybe up tempo or like really down dirty shit, you know? And I don't feel like I get the opportunity to put out stuff like that without it being like contextless, without it being like, oh, hey, I made this beat, check it out on Twitter. You know what I mean? And it was cool. Yeah,
I'm just super. I just want, honestly, ultimately, my whole thing that I think I've been experiencing the most is like, I guess, an anxiety. This album is not going to hit its designated audience, which happens a lot to I would say most people probably who make music. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the shit I listen to in my personal playlist on Spotify, oftentimes those musicians will have like 20 monthly listeners.
Yeah.
Or like 50 monthly listeners. My shit is full of shit like that. So I know that there's crazy shit out there that goes unnoticed. But you know, like Ramona, you put it out, it got like a few hundred downloads first couple of weeks, you know?
Yeah.
It felt really fucking good. It kind of sat there, kind of like, you know, it hit your audience initially, and then it was like, that's it, you know? And people loved it, and we were all happy with it. Haha, great. It wasn't until years later that retroactively people started discovering the album, or like people who grew up with it in college started becoming like full adults who like now look back and were like, yo, this shit was really important to me. Whatever happened, it eventually started finding its audience. It was just years after it had come out.
Yeah.
And I worry that a similar thing will happen with Keep the Change. And it's not, I'm not necessarily worried because like all the messages on there are super prescient. Although the last song kind of is, in my opinion, obviously, very time specific. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I worry that like we've put it out and it's doing great. It's got great reception, and we're still rolling things out. But I worry that it will burn out. It'll fizzle out like in a place where it's like it didn't reach. What's the thing called on the end of a bomb that you like light? The fuse, right? It feels like we have like a little fire here, these embers, and we keep blowing them with this rollout and blowing them and hoping that like they continue to glow, and that eventually the wind will bring something in that will like allow it to spark further, you know, and like really become a fire, like hit a fuse or something. And I'm just worried that by the time this rollout is over, we wouldn't have accomplished that. And if we're lucky, this album picks up years down the line, like, oh, what's this? Oh shit, this is a little hidden gem.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird. I think that I kind of worry about that too, but I also feel like basically like you can do what you can do, and I think that we've been doing like the right stuff, especially with like the visuals we've been putting out, and people seem to like really fuck with it. And it, you know, it's also weird too because it's like I say that, but it's like what, two of the joints have jumped into like my top 5, and I looked and like a bunch of them are in my top 10, which means like it's, you know, I know it's been like what, like 3 weeks since we put the record out, but usually like even with Full Metal Kaiju for me, which was like a super like well received thing, I had one song. It was just False Swipe. That was the only one that popped up in my top 5. And I remember feeling like super disappointed about that because I was like, damn, like obviously every time you make some shit, you want it to be like your shit that people fuck with. Like you want it to be like, oh, this, he still got it, you know? And like people were telling me that, and it sold like way better than anything I'd ever put out at the time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then it was like, but it just didn't really like translate to the plays the same way, and it's weird because it kind of has with Keep the Change. So that's interesting.
I just realized something. Also, by the time this episode comes out, the single version of Things Will Get Much Worse From Here will be out with Hatsune Miku, and the art is done by Leslie. Shout out to Leslie.
Hell yeah, shout out Leslie. We love him.
But yeah, that's the song's gonna be out by the time this is out.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. For all the people who are like, man, I wanted to hear this, but it has an outro. Okay, sorry, I don't know why I like made you.
No, but it's true. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, everyone says it's so tough for me to hit rewind because I'm cleaning the house. I don't want to go to my phone or say, hey, Siri. I get it. You know what? We actually thought of that before you guys complained. We had all of this scheduled before the album came out. That's like, that's part of the reason. That's part of the rollout. You know, that's part of the deliberate rollout. We thought, like, yeah, if you want to listen to it on loop, that outro at the end might be kind of frustrating to keep running into. So
for sure.
So yeah, but yeah, lots of stuff happening, and I hope none of this sounded like complaining. I'm just being very honest about just thoughts, you know. I'm very happy with how everything's gone. I am very happy. I love this album. I love our community. I love that we get to do what we do. I'm grateful. It's just I can't help but every time we put something new out, especially when it's like this, I'm so proud of it, and I just want more people to hear it. There is like a part of me like, oh, that wants to do something but doesn't know what. There's just like, and I don't know how to express it.
There's this like tweaker level locked in that we've both been in, like basically where it's just kind of like, okay, like, because like I feel like, I mean, we talked about this before, but like making music is like maybe what, like 30 to 40% of like being a musician. I feel like it's like mostly figuring out ways for people to hear it and like kind of hedge your bets. I can't speak words. Hedge your bets a little bit by figuring out, okay, like, well, what if we do this? Something that makes people excited. And part of that is, well, most of that is really fun because it's like the equivalent of like giving someone a gift or something. You're like, oh my God, like you want people to be excited about this thing. So you're sitting there like, oh man, like what kind of gift would I get my loved one? But instead of that, it's like, what kind of thing can we do to, and there's a bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline of stuff that we've been working on for it, but it's weird because it's hard not to be hyper focused on how things are received or like who has or hasn't heard it when like you're so like in it.
And when this is the job right now, when we're the part of the job where that's exactly the mode we have to be in. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a challenge, but we're getting through it. You know, I'm very proud of us, given that we don't have like these big teams. You know, we still managed to do so much. The fact that we're independent, and that's an important part for us. You know, we're not out here trying to say, hey, do everything yourself. You don't need nobody. You do need people. And hey, we're not even against, you know, telling people to, you know, if you want to sign a deal, go for it. You know, just know what you're doing. But we are blessed to do things the way that we get to do, you know, and we have so much control, and I don't know. So I guess I'm qualifying that to not make it sound like, oh man, this what we have just good enough. It's more than good enough. It's perfect. I just can't help but, like, you know, when you've drawn something that really, really good, or you animated something, you've made something, you just want to show it to everyone. You're like, this is me. I put so much effort. I don't know. This is beautiful to me. You know, I want others to see it. So that's it. But that's not a bad feeling. It's not like the same kind of anxiety as like, oh man, will people like it or not? I almost kind of don't care because I know people will like it. I know there's people out there who will like it. Of course, I know there's people who won't. I don't care about those people because they have other music to listen to, you know? Like it's not like, oh, fuck, okay, Bill, here's the people who like our music. The fuck do we do with the ones that don't? It's like, they're living their lives. It's okay. They'll be fine. They have other music to listen to. So I'm just trying to find the people that would fuck with us.
There's just a thing that Josh said. Josh, your old manager.
My former manager,
Yes. He said something to both of us along the lines of, the biggest fans that you have are fans that you don't have yet. And I think that's like an interesting way of looking at it, because it's easy to get caught in that bubble of like, oh, okay, like these are my people, and these are the people that show up, and they'll tell their friends. You know what I mean? But it is interesting to see that like there is much more beyond this space. You know?
Yeah,
so
for sure. Yeah, and we really do appreciate y'all for listening us and supporting us, whether you're new to either one of us or you've been supporting us for, you know, over a decade. We really appreciate you. And we know that a lot of you guys do show us you play us in your car with your family. You play us to your parents, your children. You recommend us to your teachers, your coworkers, friends, and we're very grateful for that. And we also understand that there's like only so much you guys can do individually too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not throwing the pressure back at you either. That's important to qualify. The pressure's not on anyone. That's why I feel like it's more of like just keep doing what we can and lottery it.
Don't listen to this guy. You're not doing enough.
You guys need to organize.
You need to stop
move in units.
Yeah, you need to stop letting us down. Basically, is what
Next time Fantano's streaming, if there's like 30 of y'all on two different accounts, you know, that's like 60 people in his chat.
before we wrap this up, because I feel like we're gonna have to soon because we got to do the thing. I wanted to say I actually had a very bad experience doing that with Fantano. He does not remember this, so I will talk about this. So I remember when Ramona dropped. I was like, yo, we gotta get Fantano to because to me I was like, oh, this would be perfect if Fantano covered it, it'd be perfect. And I went on. I was super active on Tumblr back then, and that was like where most of my fans were. It's kind of like where Twitter. Yeah. So it was like 10 years ago, and I was like, yo, you got to hit up Fantano, like drop a comment or whatever. Like, and a bunch of people did, like 50 people, like hit up Fantano in like various ways. And I remember, I think it might have been replying to you because you.
No, it wasn't me. It was replying to a Tumblr post, I think, from someone, but it wasn't me.
It was a tweet. I remember it being a tweet.
Oh, a tweet. Okay.
But somebody was like, hey, you should check this out. And then he was just like, what's so special about this?
Yeah, what's so special about this album? Yeah,
because I think too, I don't think that like he meant it like super negatively, but it was kind of like, why is like everyone hitting me up about this album? Like, he said something like, oh, it's like not really for me or something like that.
You just made me realize something. He was opposed to reviewing 100 Gex initially. And he put out, and people were pushing him to do it. They're like, do it. And he's like, and a fan DM'd him, was like, Melon, you got it. It's out there, those screenshots. And he's like, okay, I'll bite. You know, it's like, what's the thing with this thing? Like, he was trying to understand, like, are you guys like, what's the joke here? I don't get the meme. Why is this music popping with you? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's a meme. I don't see it as a meme. I think it's like really actually interesting, like a way of pushing pop forward, doing through, or like they said something like, and we genuinely fuck with it. Like once Melon understood that this wasn't just like a meme. You know, which is what, like, y'all have to remember the context of like him becoming a reviewer and then like being recommended a mix of like serious music and what he at the time would view as like meme music. Like initially he received Young Lean as meme music, for instance, you know? So he has this expectation, I think, you know?
For sure.
I think that's probably where it comes from, is that like, you know, he probably needs to be convinced, because it's not like he came across Brockhampton just stumbling upon it in the wild on his own. You know, like it was people hitting him up. Here's this thing, and he checked it out, and he saw that there was a genuine interest, that people want him to create this content around this thing. He checks it out, and then, you know, things happen. But I don't know how people do that. You know, like I don't think. Here's what I think. I don't think I should be asking our fans to do something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it is smarter for me to just keep making music and for it to get to a point where maybe our listeners are like, okay, this one Fantano has to hear. And they come to these conclusions themselves and naturally hit them up. Yeah. You know, rather than, of course, we don't know whether the Brockhampton thing was organized or not. I'll be honest, I think it was. I think it was very deliberate and smart. A lot of these things usually are organized. Even when Drake first dropped, I remember like seeing the street team stuff that was going on online. But right. I do think for us, the kind of artists we are, maybe it's more likely that something will happen once it happens on its own.
For sure. I also think that it's like there's a part of me too that I've kind of come to this like acceptance of like if that doesn't happen for whatever reason, like that's okay. Like I feel like there's this thing that I've always wanted. It's like always like move up, always like level up, whatever the thing is, right? And I think that like over the years I've kind of just like been like, you know what? Like this shit is like dope, and it'd be awesome if something like that happened. Like just mostly from the perspective of like, hey, like more people would hear you, you know. But like, there is also a part of me too that's
More
just kind of
security.
like, yeah, for sure. The security is like a big thing for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there is also like this part of me too that's kind of like if things just kind of like was just like this for as long as possible, I'd be fucking cool with that too.
Same.
Yeah. But it is just like weird. It's like you always want to feel like that's the thing for me is like it's always like leveling up. Like I've always looked at making music and like accruing like a fan base and stuff as like leveling up, and then there's like certain things that happen in your career that like feel like almost on some Dragon Ball shit of like, okay, cool, like now you've like hit a Super Saiyan, and now you're Super Saiyan 2 because this shit happened, and you're like trying to get to Super Saiyan 3, but it's real fucking hard to get to Super Saiyan 3. But like I think it's like,
and you lose your eyebrows, which is a nightmare.
yeah, exactly. You know, me without eyebrows, I was always told all my life, you got nice eyebrows.
You do have nice eyebrows. That's actually the one thing we have in common. We have two different variations, but we both have nice eyebrows. We've been told.
It's true.
Maybe that's what connects us.
This is me flexing my nice eyebrows. Can you do this?
Can you do the wave? Can you do the wave? Oh, I can. Let's see. I can do this. No, I guess the other eye. Kinda, not really. I can only do the rock thing that. Just the one.
You have to like I could only do this one first, and then someone like told me like a secret of like how to do it. Basically, all you do is just like hold one down and then go up, and it like flexes that muscle.
Oh yeah.
Right. And if you do it enough, then I actually do this eyebrow better than this one, because this one I have to like move this one down.
Yeah.
But with this one, I can just like.
Without having to move the other one down. Yeah, that makes sense. Damn.
Yeah, so now that's my like automatic like, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted your eyebrow thing. Your Super Saiyan 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But basically what I'm saying is like you kind of like hit this point of like, oh, like you want to hit that Super Saiyan 3, but there is also like, this part of me that's like, I'd be really cool with like keeping my eyebrows too. That's okay. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So you know what? Maybe just Super Saiyan 1 and 2 is good enough. And you know what? It is also good enough for our patrons. If you want to be a tier 1 patron, a Super Saiyan 1 patron, it's just $5. $5 American. That's right. For $5 American, you can get an extra episode every week, an extra hour at least. You get a free hour here, wherever you're listening to us on, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and then you get another one if you're subscribed to us on Patreon. We also do other content on there too. We occasionally post photos, music, other things we'll post in the future. Bill, will you post something random for us in the next week just to...
Yeah, I will. I've been meaning to post. I have something ready to post, but I don't want to say what it is.
Okay, well then don't say it, but Bill's going to post it. I know what you're talking about. So I'm excited for that. And if you want to be a tier 2 subscriber on Patreon, a Super Saiyan 2, you still keep your eyebrows. That's $20. Now, what does that give you? Well, obviously it gives you all of the previous things we mentioned, but you also get to be a part of a special channel within the Void FM Discord, where every 2 weeks you get the opportunity to participate in a live recording of our behind the paywall advice segment. Again, we do it twice a month, once every 2 weeks, once every fortnight, on a bi-weekly basis. We do this, and you have an opportunity to ask us stuff in, via voice or via text, and we'll respond to you. And who knows, maybe your voice, your question, our answers, some of it could make it in the snippet portion at the end of the normal episodes.
Hell yeah.
I think I'm doing an awful job of explaining
you're doing
this.
This whole time I've been sitting here like, wow, you should do this more often, as I usually do it. And I'm always like, God, give us the money and you talk to us and
it works,
you say
though.
words
it seems to
back.
work. Yeah, it seems to work. We do stuff. You're guaranteed to get at least 4 extra hours each month of content on top of other stuff. But that's at least the base guarantee. You know, you're never gonna have no like, damn, what happened? I've been subscribed to the Patreon and they stopped uploading suddenly, or it's like once a month or once every 2 months. You're not gonna get that. You're gonna get at least 4 a month. Motherfucker.
And that's on the low end.
And that's on the low end theory.
And that's on the low.
And that's on the What else? Oh yeah, that's what it is, and that's the way it is, and that's the way it is. It's like that. cut everything. No. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. See ya.
Bye, y'all. Mwah.
This was a good outro, right?
The following is a preview of this week's Patreon exclusive episode. Available now over on the Void FM podcast Patreon.
Okay, that's usually what people say before there's a blow J, right? Like they say goodbye. Maybe I should keep trying the handle.
Yeah. Keep doing it. Let's see.
Boy,
Slip away notice. He jumped backwards, flipping him off.